So I feel I have to address something that usually gets addressed later on in life when people start considering or thinking about their retirement. This topic or this thing should actually be addressed a whole lot earlier or planned a lot earlier than when it usually is. Now, of course, sometimes some families have good planning systems or strategies, and they usually don't have this issue. But I have seen in certain situations where somebody's heading towards retirement and they realize too late that what they should have done a lot earlier when they were younger, they were not able to do, which will bring issues to them as they get closer and closer to their retirement age of roughly 65. Now, of course, I'm going to elaborate on what I would like to talk about. There are multiple things that you should consider when you're about to retire. But I'm just going to address really just one right now, which is, I think, one of the most important ones to address or to have when you reach your retirement age. Now, I'm going to try and give a scenario, tell a little story, go far back to see, if you guys can get a hint of what I'm going to be referring to before I even get to the topic. So let's say your mom and dad, they meet each other, fall in love, do. Your mom gets pregnant with you. Now, one thing you have to realize is once you are in your mother's womb, you can consider that as your first house, your first housing. 1-bedroom apartment. You eat there, you poop there, you sleep there, you do everything there. Unbeknownst to you, you are going to be evicted within 9 to 10 months. Yeah, whether you like it or not, you're getting evicted. You get evicted, you start living in another home, hopefully with your 2 parents or with one, whichever the case may be, and you start growing. Now, of course, hopefully you are getting some kind of education, growing knowledge, and your life is moving on as you get older and older and older. Go to school, you hit the age probably 17, 18, 16 if you're a genius and went through school or had better education, whichever it is, but at a certain age, you are either going to do one of 3 things, actually, I should add. First one is probably go to college. Now, college could be boarding, or you could be, community college going, daily. So you never really need to leave the home as of yet. You might not even go to college or go straight into the workforce. That's another situation. Or you might not have the opportunities that I am speaking on. But hopefully, most people are. Now, when you go into the college realm, you are leaving your second home. Remember, your first home was inside your mother's womb. Second home is when you were living with your parents, whichever one it is. And now you're moving into your third home, probably your dorm. Let's just go that route for now. You guys can, fit in where you fit in. But let's just use the person that goes into college. So you go into college, you live in the dorm, you spend 4 years, 5 years, however many years it is. You finish college, you go into the workforce. Now, as you're working or trying to work, you are trying to build a life for you, making sure that you have a place to live, have a car maybe to drive with. If you need one, if there's good public transportation, you might not need one at all. But the shelter is very important for you to have. So you try to make sure you either have a 1-bedroom apartment, 2-bedroom, you buy a townhouse, buy a home, whatever it is that you can afford, you are trying to make sure that you have that. Now, for some people based on that age, so let's say you're around 22 years, 23 years after college, you get a place to stay. Most people do not look at that housing as their final home, as their, forever home, so to speak. And that is fine. There's no shame in that, no harm in that. And, as you get older, you save money, you get more established in your career, you start making more money, you start being able to afford more things, lavish things, bigger homes and everything like that. You might hit an age of 30, 35, where you start considering, hey, maybe I should actually focus on buying a home. Now, of course, if you are younger and you're able to do that, that is great. You should try to do that. But if you aren't at that age where you can afford a home yet, it's fine. Just make sure the plan is working as you want it to work. So let's just say between the ages of 25 and 35, let's give it a kind of big range, you consider purchasing a home. Now, when you purchase that home, most of the time, it might not have every single thing that you want unless you are working And the sports industry or Wall Street, somewhere that is giving you a whole lot of money based on the age you're in. Most people start making six figures, I think, around in the 30 years range. So if you're lucky enough to start making that amount of money a whole lot earlier, this might not even be necessary for you. You might need a different topic on how to, manage your funds, to be honest with you. But for mostly the regular people like us, you would be saving money trying to make plans to purchase a decent home where at least when you are paying the mortgage, you are getting some kind of equity back. You are not just giving it to a landlord by paying rents and having nothing to show for it. So let's say you get a home, and most likely between the ages of 25 and 35, I wouldn't see that home as a forever home. But when you do purchase a home, you usually get how long of a mortgage? Usually 30 years. So this is basically saying if you purchased a home when you were 25, by the time you reach 55, you should have been able to pay off that home if you were able to do every month mortgage payments, which is fine and dandy. Now, the thing that I have noticed is most people don't stay in the first home they purchase. They usually don't. They usually have different needs. Their family grows. They get more kids. They need more space. They change locations. A lot of different reasons, which is fine. A lot of different reasons occur for why they move to a different housing. Now, I don't know the average age of when people kind of move to their final home, but let's just say this. If you are retiring at the age of 65, where you're hoping to not have to work for another company to do any kind of, manual labor, wake up in the morning, go to a 9 to 5, do anything along those lines. One of your biggest expenses in your, if you retire with it, could be your mortgage. If you still have a mortgage when you're retiring, that is going to suck up a lot of your money for no apparent reason. Now, for you to not have a mortgage by that age, if you are taking a standard loan of 30 years, you would have to be in the home that you want to stay in permanently by the age of 35. Now, let's be honest. Most people at the age of 35 are not thinking, this is my last home. Most people, I think, at that age are probably even thinking of marriage, to be honest with you. But by the age of 35, if you were to get a home and you said, you know what, this is the final home I want to live in, I want to stay in, I do not want to move anymore. By the time you hit 65, you would have paid off that home. And if you want to retire at age 65, it would reduce your costs dramatically. That would be ideal and great. Now, of course, that doesn't normally happen. So what should you do? This whole topic is trying to bring awareness of, especially if you're younger than 35 and you haven't reached that age, that you might want to consider that. You might want to start thinking about, hey, if I get a home, if I move to another home where I don't have the money to pay it out cash, or I don't have enough funds to be able to get a 15-year mortgage loan where I have to get a 30-year mortgage loan, if you get a new house at the age of 40, 45, by the time you are 75, is when you're expected to pay off that mortgage. Now, if you are not considering working all the way till you're 70, 75 years old, that is a big burden on you. Now, I am not including anybody's investments, outside investments, rental properties, anything like that. But I am just trying to bring awareness on one very important thing, very important cost that you will have when you retire. Now, of course, a lot of people think about, maybe they'll just sell the home and then go into a retirement home where they take care of anything. Yeah, I mean, that's fine and dandy. But still, a retirement home, you have to pay on a regular basis. Now, I don't know how much your house can appreciate. I don't know how much money you can get out of your house when you sell it. But if you don't get enough, that will bring another issue for you as you're even getting older. Now, what I would advise, hopefully for my young people that are watching this video, if you can, try your best. I'm not saying it's very hard for a lot of people to do that, but try your best, if you can, to secure a home, even if it's not your ideal home. Secure a home before the age of 65 where you know if everything fails, you own that home and nobody can kick you out unless you don't pay your taxes. You know the government always owns everything. So this is just to bring awareness to everybody. Hey, look, I know things change in life. I know certain things that you get now might not be the things you want to keep when you're older, or the comforts you want to have, or the location you want to live in. But I would suggest, if you get a house by the age 30, 35, try and either make sure you can pay that house off before your retirement, or if you consider moving to another location, try and save up all the money so you can buy it outright cash. That would help you in the long run. That would make sure that you're secure. Family doesn't have to worry about you getting kicked out of your house. You have a roof over your head, security and everything. And let's remember, there are some houses that might be small for you because of the amount of kids you have when they're living with you. But kids grow up and move out. And when they do, that house then turns into a big house that is too big for you. So don't be discouraged if you have a house, you have 6 kids and you have a 3-bedroom house and you're saying, oh my gosh, we're living on top of each other. Just remember, hopefully, the kids will move out and you would have that house by yourself. And next thing you know, you start thinking of downsizing. So consider those things, consider those ideas, those topics, and rethink what you think you need at certain ages. Remember, you're going to retire, hopefully, at a certain age and want to relax. Now, for me, I have said if I am able to fully pay off my home, I can live off of $1,000 a month on only expenses. I'm not talking about food, gas, and everything else. I'm talking about any expenses that I incur can be covered by $1,000 a month, which, if you consider it, if you do not have a mortgage, that would be great. I could work at probably McDonald's or any kind of small restaurant or something and still be able to live in the house that I purchased years ago. That is the ideal scenario, feeling that you want to have when you're retiring. Now, you see some movies sometimes where, you have parents, grandparents that are like 65, 70 and about to get kicked out of their house because they moved into that house maybe 10 years ago. And because they retired, don't have enough to keep paying the mortgage, or the stock market crashed and the retirement amount has dwindled to nothing compared to what they had previously when they purchased the house. A lot of things can happen. Security is what you need when you're getting closer and closer to retirement. So remember this. If you are young enough to do this, try and make sure that it doesn't mean that the house you get when you're 30, 35 needs to be your forever home. No. But just try to make a plan where either you keep it and make sure that you can pay it off. And then if you move to another house that you want to consider as your forever home, still keep that house you had previously. And if things don't work out for your forever home and you have to sell it, you can always move back to the house that is already fully paid off and still have a place to live and still be comfortable to a certain degree. I just felt I had to say something about that because I have seen, the elderly, which, kind of hurts my heart, wherein they have to lose the home that they've lived in. Sometimes they've lived in there for more than 30 years. And the reason why is because they had to refinance to probably get money to pay for their children's education or pay for some kind of medical bill that they didn't have the cash for. Various reasons. But try, if you can. This is not a you must do it, but this is a way of thinking. Try, if you can, secure some kind of housing by 30, 35, where if you paid the mortgage till the end of the mortgage or earlier, if you could pay it off earlier, you can say you've secured some kind of living domicile for when you retire at least, and you should not be living on the street. But that's just my 2 cents. Hopefully you can use that, put it down on the down payment. Just kidding. But yeah, just think about it. Try and make sure you make good plans for your retirements, because the older you get, the more days pass by, the harder it is to do all the things you used to do when you were younger. But thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for sitting through this story time with me. And hopefully you guys can click on the next video and watch more. Click the subscribe button, click on the bell to get notified if I have other videos, and I will see you guys later. Take it easy.